Hello and welcome back to Defense Force 4.1. We don't have anything really that new.
Select a mission.
Except a new mission. And it might become a little bit miserable. We'll see. At least we're not in an aerator. Those can sometimes be dreadful. Other times they can be fun.
Straight ahead! Straight ahead!
Oh, I
see. Please command our team.
Remember that originally this game ran in half resolution. Oh, now it's time. Wait, no, we can't even destroy these.
All units, engage.
We can destroy the things that are being dropped. I missed. Huh. Yeah, they have better aim than me. Jesus. Okay, we got one.
Understood.
There's no time to rest. We're gonna continue the battle. Yes.
Then there's no. Oh.
Okay.
Wait, does that mean it's above us? No. Yes. Well, then there's no time to waste. You know, the one line which you can quote from Superman 64, because nobody actually played the game, because it sucks. I believe it was the previous episode when I mentioned that guy who, like, God's greatest N64 defender, RPG hater. I remember, like, looking into it more. And, like, it's funny. I'll explain a little bit more, just so you could understand why it's at least a little entertaining. Okay, at one point he said he believed in magic, but more importantly than that, he said that, like, the whole point of a video game is that you can explore, and that having a game in which you can't do that makes it an automatically worse game. And, like, if you've studied game design, which nobody who talks about, nobody who talks about it in the line, well, not nobody, but, like, most people haven't actually studied it, they just kind of understand a few things, but, like, when you actually discuss game design, a lot of it, like, a lot of the questions in good design or bad design is a term used all the way back in, like, old Ego Raptor Sequelitis videos, and that's the word conveyance, you know? How well can you convey a set of ideas to the player? Like, whenever a game is obtuse, whenever there's, like, some moon logic involved, that means like, whatever logic the game is using to convey its mechanics to you isn't working. So, you know, as an example...
It's dropping battle machines!
Oh.
Protect you, sir.
Okay.
Enemy has an
So, like, you know, for instance, if, you know, in the original Zelda game, right? If there was literally... Like, imagine if there was, like, a special bomb. Like, imagine if there were, like, special bombs that you had to use on special parts of the, like, on special parts of the map, and there was no indication or no hints on where to use them. You know, that's kind of bad conveyance, when you can't solve the problem the game expects you to solve, not because, like, oh, obviously, I'm giving you a simplified example, right? But a good example of this in games is specifically, you know, when a game... You can't solve a problem in a game, not because you don't know the solution of the problem, but because you can't even define what the problem is, you know? So, like, you know, it's kind of like how, you know, you have one of those where do I go kind of games, right? So, like, you know, in a game like Metroid, a very good way of figuring out, you know, especially in the future games, right, is, oh yeah, this is the next spot, there's a ledge I can't quite get to, maybe I need some kind of high jump boots or something to reach it, You know, that's a good example. A bad example would be, you know, like kind of in the original Metroid. You know that one section where randomly, with no indication, you just kind of have to blow up a bit of the floor so you can fall through and, like, reach an entirely different layer? Or with, like, again, no indication, jump down, like, into the lava, but this time, instead of, like, just drowning, there's actually an entire secret, you know, area down there. That's kind of like bad conveyance, and the more mandatory bad conveyance is, the worse it gets, you know? Because obviously, also look, it's having a bit of a seizure over there. But yeah, obviously, like, if we're discussing secrets, like, bad conveyance can kind of be excused with non-mandatory content, because that's, you know, sort of how it's balanced. But, when you need, you know, basically I'm trying to explain, like, there are a lot of these things. But the issue is, right, there are, and this is with most people, right, whenever you're discussing video games, most people aren't even close to this kind of level. Most people are on the caveman level of game good, game bad, and that is kind of where things sit. There's a surprising lack of weapon traits, Anyways, like, there's that, and the whole issue with all of this that I'm trying to explain is specifically, like, it's really, and this is something which you'll never understand until you know, get a bit more into video game discussion, because sometimes it's not about being proven right. Obviously, people like it when they're correct, unless, like, they have, you know, specific interests. But, like, you know, generally speaking, people like being proven correct. And even people who are lying like to feel like they're correct. That's why, instead of just, you know, that's why they'll sometimes just say shit. Even if they know it's bullshit, it's because they want to appear correct. It's just something people like. The difference is, you know, shit. Like, the difference is, most people just don't really have the words necessary, I guess, like, the knowledge necessary to properly discuss gaming. Because, you know, it's why a lot of the time, like, people will get mad at random. Like, people don't understand the difference between a good bad review and a bad review, you know? Or I guess, like, a good critical review and a bad, quote-unquote, critical review.
Earth Eaters. To control their whole army, there must be a leader, a command module. A command module?
You don't say.
There are far too many of them to be working on their own. They definitely need a brain to lead them. Somewhere, I'm sure there is a command module. Let's call it the brain. It must be there. So that's the Earth Eater's weak point. Is there any evidence that the brain exists? No, but that's our only chance to win. If the brain doesn't exist, it will mean the end of mankind.
Well, that'll be disappointing. I sure do hope the mysterious brain shows up somewhere. Maybe also Pinky showing up would be nice. Oh, hey, we got new...
Select a mission.
Wait a minute. What is the RA?
Loadout. Rangers can equip 2 weapons.
10 per second. 50. Ooh. That's interesting.
Select
Okay.
a mission.
A monster party. Sure.
Deploying.
So, yeah. Like, the whole argument isn't really even an argument, to be completely fair with you. But, you know, obviously, this side of the story, he doesn't like RPGs because he likes, you know, the platforming, quote-unquote, open kind, or whatever. But one of the actual, like, intriguing things that I've seen is, oh, yeah, there are stronger red ones. And this is, like, something which honestly makes... I guess it's kind of interesting. You know how, like, in Japan, right? PM, you know how the stories go, right? You know how, like, in Japan you have, like, manga, anime, etc., right? And in the West, the distinction for most people is just like live action and then like cartoon slash comics. An underrated distinction, okay, I should stop when I reach 100. An underrated distinction between the two that are very important is that in the West, for a variety of reasons, that I don't have the time to get into, nor really the knowledge. This could definitely be like a Mooney video. Basically, in the West, a lot of like cartoons and shit have kind of swayed more and more into like, you know, kids' entertainment for a variety of reasons. And one of the big ones is, you know, live action being a lot cheaper for one. But again, you know, and simple animation not really needing to be of very high quality because of an idea that, like, oh, kids don't deserve quality entertainment, they'll watch anything. Which is true, they'll watch anything, but that doesn't mean they still don't deserve to see quality stuff, you know. And so as the, you know, gaming wars raged on, a big thing was that, you know, in Japan, the distinction between realistic and cartoony wasn't necessarily as big because a lot of Japanese media, even the one themed at, like, you know, older audiences, prided itself on, you know, the quality of its animation and other things. But especially in the West, you know, there was a huge push, including by Disney and by, you know, some other companies, especially during the 2000s, away from, you know, basically towards realism, towards fidelity. And while Nintendo was trying to go in that direction as a company too, then the Wii happened, and with it, you know, the success of not spending 50 billion developing bucks on the best graphics and instead on the gaming experiences, I guess you could describe it as that. But from all of this, you know, from all of this preamble, right? The issue we run into is that a lot of people, especially in the West, will associate animation. Wait, there are yellow ones now. They'll associate like, you know, animation, cartoony, like, creative, childish, wonderful, and, like, you know, something that's more realistic or live action as, like, more gritty, more real. And, you know, you have, like, obviously, the more common version of this, which is, like,
Dragon confirmed. It's coming this way.
What is that fucking voice? You have, like, the more common version of this, which is, like, people who would otherwise, you know, the kind of guy who's called Kyle, you know, drinks exclusively Mountain Dew, plays exclusively gun and ball games, and still refers to, like, Final Fantasy 16 as an anime game. That kind, you know? On one hand, you have these people, and on the other hand, you have, like, this kind of person who is, very much a fan of the, not even, because it goes beyond this, right? Kyle's big mistake is assuming that, a game being stylized in some way and not having, like, you know, realistic TM graphics automatically makes it, you know, childish. And this guy is like the opposite, where he thinks that a game not being designed in a way that you could describe as childish, like cartoony, you know, not even stylized, just, you know, if it's not kind of like a kid's cartoon, not an anime, that's the crucial distinction, right? Then it's very clearly, you know, just not creative, because it's inherently more because it's inherently more creative to have fucking Crunch, fucking Piplup, or all the other characters from Diddy Kong Racing obviously all of them are more memorable than Cloud or Sephiroth, who are, you know, two human characters, so they are completely the same. So such uncreative, boring character designs. Now, of course, why would you want to explain something like that to somebody who believes in magic? Well, because I believe that you should still have, like, you still have a right to know things, you know? I believe that, like, you know, as long as you're not necessarily being mean-spirited, which, like, sometimes can be a little bit difficult. But, like, you know, as long as you're trying to genuinely convince someone, I feel like, you know, you should try if you feel like it. Because at the end of the day, you know, it's the question of, like, well, what are you trying to convince somebody? I'm not trying to convince him that, you know, RPGs are good, actually, or whatever, or that, like, cartooning games are shit. I mean, he said, like, he talked about, he mentioned a Rugrats game in one of the underrated N64 games videos. But, what I'm trying to say, excluding that, is, like, at some point, it just becomes about, like, trying to figure out why, I guess. Because for somebody like me, you know, it's obvious, right? It's what is, you know, when I try to explain my arguments, I'm someone who, partially because of, you know, the facts I have talked with friends about this, and also hugely because, you know, when you have a YouTube channel that both, you know, where you talk about games a lot, you pick up a few things. I can, like, explain my logic fairly well in a, at least, like, if I have the time to write out and, you know, write stuff out, in a, oh god, there's more dragons.
The enemy's army is closing in on combat area.
I can write it out in a relatively concise and, like, well put together way. But the issue is, you know, a lot of people don't really have any coherent points they can make. And a lot of their beliefs in everything is just, like, a bunch of loosely defined vibes.
The fencer team has arrived in the combat zone.
Oh yes, please, fences, come in. It's basically just like a bunch of very loosely defined ideas that are just kinda spliced together into one, you know, semi-coherent point. And that point will just go on and on and on, because most people don't think about this stuff critically, and that sort of thing, right? When you, it's kind of like that, like, in the brain or out of the brain thing, right? Where if a thought remains in your head, it can be as convoluted as you want. But once you actually have to, like, explain that thought to someone, that is where a lot of people end up, you know, fucking up. Because what seems simple to you, trying to explain something with whatever logic you're working under, that's not gonna work if the person you're talking with has, you know, a completely different, you know, way things work. And in this argument, I have, like, obviously positioned my takes as the more correct ones, because, like, first of all, obviously I would position my takes as the correct ones, because I'm the one making them. I'm not intentionally, you know, making incorrect arguments for the fucking sake of it. That's dumb. You know, I mean, it's not like, oh fuck. Okay, I do have to be more careful. You know, it's not like potential rage bait can't be, you know, between friends can't be, you know, fun. I mean, I've done it all the time with my friend, but when you're actually trying to talk to someone who genuinely, like, might not get stuff, and who is missing out on a lot, you know, convincing them will be of greater importance than, like, you know, trolling. Come on. I really hate the yellow ones. The yellow ones suck. Yeah, also, thank you, Mr. Fences, for, being on the other side of the bloody map. So I have to sit here. Where's the health pack? Over here. And deal with all the fucking dragons myself. Okay, there's like 6 of them. Okay.
Investigations are happening all over the world, but we still haven't found anything like a brain.
Could it be in outer space? I don't know.
There we go. Finally! Okay.
Select
Well,
a
we
mission.
have an... Ooh, Labyrinth of Light.
Select a difficulty. At higher difficulty. Deploying.
Okay. Yeah, so there's that. But in general, it's like, you know, video game arguments are sort of dead. And that has always
Multiple
been
shield screens have been deployed.
disappointing.
This is the first time so many shield screens have been found at once.
Did I just get one, or...? Yeah, I think just...
The shield screens are scattered in the combat area. There should be many generators. Look around.
It was a beautiful town until you got here.
Okay.
Giant insects are coming!
Okay.
I'm blocked by shield screens and my attacks aren't working!
Maybe walk through the shield screen. And I'll shoot the ones from behind me. Oh yeah, there are transport ships, I believe. Okay, so this is gonna be hard, but...
The shield screens do not block the enemy's attacks. Watch out for attacks through shield screens.
How many hits? 3 hits, right? 3? 4 hits. Yeah. Well, okay. Now that that's done, I'll have to deal with this guy. Oh, that hit a lot of segments. I don't know if it hit the main body there.
Surrounded in shield screens and can't move.
Okay, that got him. Okay, let's try to not pick that up yet, just in case.
There are shield screens here too.
Yeah,
The attack doesn't reach them.
I don't know what to do with the big guys. I think I'm gonna have to, like, go for the shield screens first.
Everywhere I turn, there's a shield screen. What should I do?
There's a shield screen over there, right? Okay, hold on. Let's see.
Shield screens don't interfere with each other when they overlap? That seems like it should be illegal.
Well, sadly, it's not. Oh, that aggroed. I shouldn't have done that. That aggroed the big
It's
guy.
dangerous to be surrounded by multiple shield screens.
Actually, let's
Take out the
see.
generators one at a time.
Yeah. Okay. Here's what I'm curious about, right? So if we go ow over here, the AF-17 can destroy this thing really quickly, I believe. Yeah. Like, okay, these big things sometimes seem scary, but they're jokes, dude. Or maybe this gun is just really good. Oh, actually, wait, can I? I can just get this. Hold on. Shit. Well. Yeah, but these guys won't move away, so... Come on.
This is O'Hara. I am on my way to investigate. Using astronomical data, I have confirmed that a meteor fell a few days before the Earth Eaters arrived. It didn't seem worth investigating, but thinking about it now, it's possible that it is related to the brain.
Okay, this should be the one. I won't... Yeah, I missed. Shit, okay, I nearly fell into the water. Okay. Ah, okay. Well, this is going to be a little bit problematic, considering I do not have the ability to move the shield bearer out of the way. There we go.
Destroying transport ship.
Wow, thanks, I didn't know. Yeah, these missions are a little bit more tricky than the ones, you know, you usually used to. And that's, like, I feel like the funny part with, like, a lot of EDF games. Is sometimes you'll have the missions where you just go in guns blazing, and other times you'll have missions where you have to think. Something I do find quite nice, though, is that the shields don't seem to, like, expand and contract. Because if they did, this would be chaos. Although, it seems... It seems that, the other EDF troops are going in their own direction on the other side. Which is... I probably could have, like, gotten them to follow me, but I didn't. Well, I don't know how useful that would have been. Although I don't see any more of those big guys. I also see that that guy is protected by a shield screen. And there don't seem to be any more, like, shield screen protected things here. So I guess we'll move on to over there. Go away. And then I'll, well, we can start off by angering these guys. Oh, I have to... Yeah, by the way, the annoying thing is it can't just hit near them. It has to actually hit one of them. If you whiff, like I'm doing, they're not gonna care. Okay, now they'll care. Well, the ones that aren't destroyed, they'll care. Is the crown thing in the top a weak point or no? No, I don't think it is. Yeah, still 4 shots. Oh, it's not jumping to the water. Okay, well that should have gotten their attention. Right, yeah. Come on. Hey. One thing which is kind of fun in the EDF games is just that, like, you've probably heard of the term called power scaling. It's this really silly, like, internet thing which some people take very seriously. And that is why being a fan of the Defense Force games is really funny. It's basically because they work on a strictly, like, everything you see is real sort of deal. So what that means is that, so you know how in the Air Defense Force games, you gain more armor whenever you pick it up? And, you know, you'll unlock newer, stronger weapons, and enemies you kill drop health and such. From my understanding, this is then kept in the power scaling, let's call it the power scaling realm, right? Which means that any opponents going up against the EDF need to deal with the EDF's, like, bullshit arsenal, where every single time anything happens, somehow the EDF manages to sneak by a win because one guy manages to blow up, like, the entire enemy alien mothership, or, like, the entire, you know, fleet or whatever, and, yeah. Or, like, the thing at the end of EDF 6, not to spoil. And, that's sort of the thing, right? Like, obviously there are, like, this is, because, you know, some characters are built to be, you know, reasonably powerful in their own world, but that's only something you can really do if, the world you're creating for those characters requires that sort of stuff, you know? And, most games are trying to be self-contained and don't want to have, like, you know, external factors. And because of that, what point is there to having, you know, why would the Air Defense Force characters need to be, quote-unquote, you know, reasonably scaled when that doesn't make for a good EDF game? But you see, with, you know, that'll mean that in the power scaling thing, there'll be shit. But one funny thing with power scaling is that that means that Jeffrey Woods, also known as Jeff the Unalive, no, Jeff the Killer, but like, you know, as they call him on TikTok, Jeff the Unaliver, he is kind of funny because, well, obviously, like, the story was shit. However, the really funny thing is that, like, at the beginning of his own story, this, like, super scary serial killer or whatever is, like, fended off by, like, a kid, and so he just runs away. And I find that really funny. You know, that's Jeff. So if you're wondering, like, you know, could you defeat Jeff the Killer? Yes. Yeah, if, like, a fucking 11-year-old can do it, so can you. It's such a funny story. It's even funnier when, like, the guy who wrote the story was called Jeff, and then he laughed as if it was real. Like, he was, it was a self-insert.
I've arrived at the meteor site. It's just a meteor. I was wrong.
Ah, shit. It's just a meteor? Oh my god. Come on! I remember once genuinely being for a few minutes stuck on one of the missions because these fucking things are so unpredictable. Oh no. On their, like, idle movements that I just couldn't hit them. I really wish there was, like, a button that would, like, you know, get their attention.
EDF!
Will this get their attention? No.
EDF!
Come on. Fucking... There we go. That should get them to pay attention. And you see now... Get one. Get two. There we
There
go.
are other points where meteors have fallen. I'll head to the next one.
Well, maybe it's not a I'll be spoiler happy today and say, wait, what is the DNG?
Select
Hold
a
on, no,
mission.
I won't be spoilery. What
Choose
is the
loadout.
DNG 2?
Rangers can equip 2 weapons.
Here it is. Long range hand grenade. Huh. How do you reload it? It's level 21. Whatever, see you next time when we continue earthly defending more forces. Bye-bye.